Are you my mummy?
No mummy's here. Nobody here but us chickens. Well, this chicken.
Welcome to the review of the episode that spawned a whole fandom going around the world saying, "Are you my mummy?
Are you my mummy?"
Yes, that's right, everybody. Today on the Doctor Who Is My Life channel, we will be reviewing the 9th episode of the first series of the rebooted series, entitled The Empty Child, which is also the first episode of a two-parter. So this should be exciting. My name is Michael Novak, welcome. And as is tradition, we will start the review with a short recap. Now, the episode begins with the Doctor and Rose in the TARDIS. They're following a space capsule that's flying through the time vortex. It's heading directly towards the center of London. The Doctor does not manage to catch it and instead follows the coordinates for the destination of the capsule and lands the TARDIS near the area it supposedly ended up. However, due to time traveling being a bit unstable, the Doctor and Rose end up arriving in London about 1 month after the capsule landed. It's 1941. It's the height of the Second World War, and bombs are falling on the capital almost daily. Upon arrival, the Doctor and Rose accidentally split up as the Doctor goes to ask around after anyone who's seen the space capsule or knows where it's landed. Rose discovers a young child with a gas mask calling out for his mommy. She follows him to a rooftop where she attempts to climb up a rope in order to reach him. However, the rope starts moving and Rose realizes that she's now hanging onto a barrage balloon flying across town. Rose loses her grip and is about to plummet towards the ground, but at the last second, she's rescued by a beam of light from an invisible spaceship hovering above London. The owner of the spaceship is Captain Jack Harkness, a former time agent from the 51st century, who's now gone freelance. We quickly learn that Jack was in fact the one responsible for the space capsule, and because he thinks that Rose is a time agent, he wants to sell the ship to her and the Doctor. After Jack and Rose flirt for a while on the spaceship, they set out to find the Doctor to negotiate. Meanwhile, the Doctor has been searching for information regarding the space capsule and has discovered the same little boy as Rose walking around town asking for his mommy. He quickly learns that the child isn't a child at all, and that it has superpowers, for example the ability to make phones ring. We are also introduced to Nancy, a caregiver for the homeless and poor children in the local area. She provides food for the homeless children as well as shelter. The Doctor is intrigued after learning that Nancy knows about the child and is constantly warning everybody about him. She informs the Doctor that the child was in fact her baby brother Jamie. She also takes the Doctor to the crash site where soldiers are guarding the area. Nancy advises the Doctor to go to the nearby hospital and talk to Dr. Constantine before trying to gain access to the crash site. At the hospital, the Doctor quickly discovers a large number of patients that are identical to the empty child. The wounds are exactly the same, and the diagnosis is exactly the same. The bodies appear dead, but Constantine quickly demonstrates how the bodies are in fact alive. Dr. Constantine is deteriorating quickly and is getting worse by the minute. The Doctor is shocked, but soon finds out that Constantine is also infected by the plague-like virus, making the patients develop gas masks and ask for their mommy. Jack and Rose then show up at the hospital, and we discover that the space capsule is to blame for whatever's been happening. The Doctor proclaims that human DNA is being rewritten by an idiot. Meanwhile, the empty child has located Nancy and has pushed her into a corner, and the confrontation makes all the patients at the hospital wake up and approach Rose, the Doctor, and Jack. They are backed into a corner with no way out as the episode concludes. Alright everybody, now that was a short recap of the episode. Now, as always, let's get into the villain of the week, which in this case are the Nanogenes. Oddly enough. Now, the Nanogenes are a type of subatomic robot capable of healing wounds and restoring lost appendages. They can also act as a defense mechanism, creating soldiers capable of protecting or guarding planets and technology. Now, the Nanogenes look like minuscule glowing specks that buzz around their targets. Now, these Nanogenes are actually also capable of healing superficial wounds in seconds and even reanimating the dead, providing that they have an existing template for the individual. For example, if a patient has lost a body part or a limb, the Nanogenes can regrow a new one from scratch. Now, the Nanogenes have also been featured in the Series 7 episode Asylum of the Daleks, as well as the Series 12 episode Fugitive of the Judoon. Alright everybody, now let's get into my review of this episode. My favorite scene of this episode is our first introduction to Captain Jack Harkness. It's canon. It's just canon, especially considering how big of a player he becomes in Doctor Who history. My least favorite scene of this episode is Nancy's first-hand introduction. She seems very condescending and negative, and she talks about everything that's been going on as if the Doctor would know. And he's literally asking her questions about what has happened. And she's acting like, wouldn't you like to know? And it seems really condescending. However, I know that in the second part of this two-parter, her character is greatly redeemed. But in this episode, she seems kind of annoying.
What am I supposed to do with a ringing phone?
Don't answer it. It's not for you.
And how do you know that?
Because I do. And I'm telling you, don't answer it.
Now let's talk a little bit about the elephant of the room, which of course is Captain Jack Harkness, played by the lovely John Barrowman. Now, this is the first introduction we get to Captain Jack Harkness, who later goes on to star as a main character in the spin-off series Torchwood, along with Eve Miles. Now, Captain Jack has, for obvious reasons, become canon among Doctor Who fans, featuring as a companion to the Doctor for the remainder of this series, as well as the Series 3 finale, as well as the Series 4 finale, and the Series 12 episodes, Fugitive of the Judoon and Revolution of the Daleks, as well as starring in 4 seasons of Torchwood. Now, to be completely honest, Captain Jack is actually my favorite companion in all of Doctor Who's history. Torchwood is such an amazing spin-off series. Normally, I wouldn't expect much from a spin-off series, but Torchwood is canon. It's just part of the canon. And Captain Jack Harkness is just, he's brilliant. He's amazing. He's such a great character. He's so three-dimensional. And, you know, the development that we get to this character, especially in Torchwood, where we learn a lot more about his past and about who he is and about his everything about him, it just makes you really fall in love with the character. And I'm really glad that Russell T Davies and actually Stephen Moffat created this character and developed on it. It's amazing. Now, let's talk a little bit about showcasing this episode during the Second World War and kind of romanticizing it. There is this scene where the Doctor tells Nancy, he says,
Right now, not very far from here, the German war machine is rolling up the map of Europe. Country after country falling like dominoes. Nothing can stop it. Nothing. Until one tiny, damp little island says no. A mouse in front of a lion.
Now, I understand how important of a thing it is for Doctor Who to develop in historic events. That was the whole point back in 1963 when the show was created, was that the show should take place in historic events. So I get it, but at the same time, the Second World War is such a huge thing, and it's actually kind of a theme in Doctor Who that they use a lot from the Second World War and romanticize it a lot, especially all the episodes that the 11th Doctor does with Winston Churchill. But at the same time, I'm not so sure about it being a good idea for the setting of this episode, honestly. Now, let's also talk a little bit about how this is the first episode of Doctor Who that Stephen Moffat wrote. That's crazy. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of a foreshadowing and spoiler alert, but in the ending of this two-parter, nobody dies. And it's kind of ironic that Stephen Moffat, who has such a name in the Doctor Who community as being the showrunner that just kills characters constantly, and his first episode for the show was actually an episode where no one dies. But it's kind of funny, I feel like a lot of other Whovians on YouTube have talked about this as well, but Stephen Moffat's episodes were the best when he wasn't the showrunner. The episodes that he wrote while Russell T Davies was the showrunner are his finest. Honestly, they're canon. Now let's get into the rating of this episode. I will give this episode 4.5 out of 5 TARDISes, and it's only because of Nancy's portrayal in this episode. If she wouldn't have been the way that she is in this episode, I would have given it 5 out of 5. However, I know that her character gets redeemed in the second part of this two-parter, but for now, 4.5 out of 5 TARDISes. All right, that's it for me this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Michael Novak. This has been Doctor Who Is My Life. Be sure to subscribe and like the video. Tell me in the comment section what you thought of this episode. I really liked it, honestly, and I fucking love Captain Jack Harkness. Now, we shall see each other once again next Saturday for the conclusion of this two-parter entitled The Doctor Dances. So that should be exciting. See you guys next week. Bye.